Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made a doll figurine I call Vampire Dream. It comes from a dream that I had where this person was a vampire. And I drew this concept art and I'm going to make it into a figurine today. As you can see, I already prepped the doll by removing the head with the help of boiling water and taking out the hair plugs with some small tweezers. Now I'm using acetone to remove the factory paint, 100% pure acetone, or nail polish with acetone in it, or nail polish remover with acetone in it. And you can see I'm just molding the doll's head so that I can get into all the nooks and crannies to remove all the factory paint. And this is what it looks like. Now I'm marking off where I'm going to cut the doll to make it into the pose that I want it to be. This doll has limited articulation, so I thought I could use it in this project since I wouldn't need it to move. I just need it to be in a fixed pose. So now I'm going to use a saw to cut these pieces apart. As you can see, this is what it looks like. Now I'm using sandpaper to sand it out. Using epoxy, 2-part epoxy clay, armature wire, and sculpting tools, I'm going to begin mixing the clay to then sculpt the doll into the pose I want it to be. So I'm filling in the legs here so they won't be hollow and to help hold the doll in the pose that I want it to be. I'm not sure which Barbie this is. It's one I had in my stock, so I decided to use it. Now you can see I'm inserting some armature wire into the knees to then help hold it together in the pose that I want it to be in. And I'm filling it in a little bit with more clay. Now I'm putting the legs back together. If it helps, you could mark them left and right so you don't get confused and you remember which part is which. For the legs, I need both knees bent. If you remember the concept art, it's kind of in a walking pose, so I need both the knees bent. And I'm just adding more clay to help it keep its structure, and since the doll will be wearing I want the doll to appear to be wearing pants, this kind of helps flesh it out as well. And this is what it looked like. Now I'm doing the similar thing to the arms and the elbows, fixing the position so then it'll be in the pose that I want it to be. I'm not fixing all the points of articulation just yet because I want to be able to see where I need to mark off the stand that I'm going to put her in. Now with the other arm, I'm going to do the same thing. And this is what that looks like. Now I'm going to start to sculpt the facial features. As if you remember from the concept art, the person has a angry face, so I'm making the eyebrow bones more pronounced, so more slanted down so they look angry. And I'm adding lines where the wrinkles would be. If you made an angry face, you know there's wrinkles in the eyebrows, there's wrinkles in the side of the mouth, which is what I'm sculpting now, and then there's wrinkles in the nose too, which I will also be sculpting. I also made vampire ears, and I will be sculpting vampire teeth. Now for the stand, I'm using 12 by 12 thin wooden boards and a 12 by 12 wooden canvas, which is a little thicker. As you can see, it's hollow in the back. But I'm marking it off where I want the window to be in one of the sideboards that I'm going to be using. I want it slightly off center towards the back, so I'm marking it a little bit more towards the left. Now I'm cutting it out with a knife. Be very careful during this part, because if you put too much force, the knife could move around where you don't want it to be, so just be careful and take your time. This is how I'm going to glue the two thin wooden boards to the wooden canvas. The one on the right is the one with the window piece, with the window a little bit more to the back, and I'm just using wood glue to glue these pieces together. Now I'm going to mark off where I want my figurine to stand, and I'm going to screw in little holes for the armature wire to go through with this drill bit. Now that she's in place and the initial paths of epoxy dried, I could go in and fix the rest of the places of articulation and start filling in the rest of her, the figurine, to make it look like she's wearing pants and a sweater. You can see now I'm doing the same, fixing the arms in place. One will be to the side while the other one is down, and I'm having her have a little bit of a shoulder fold there, because again she's wearing a hoodie, so I want it to look like she is, because I'm not going to be making actual fabric clothes for this figurine. Now I'm going in with one of my sculpting tools and to help kind of make marks where the lines of the hoodie would be. I'm also putting some fabric folds. If this was a real person in this position or in this pose, they'd have some folds in the fabric since she's wearing a hoodie. So I'm gonna be making those as well. As you can see, I also added hoodie strings, and this is what it's going to look like. And I added shoes. And this is what her head looks like too. I also added a bed to match my concept art. And after it dried, I'm painting it over with a layer of gesso. I did the same with the walls, as I want them to be a darker color, and I want the paint to be able to stick onto the wood without chipping off. I'm also covering the face in gesso too. Now I'm starting to paint the figurine, and I'm starting with the skin colors, so on the hands, the neck, and on the face where her skin is showing. Now I'm painting her shoes, a nice dark color to match my concept art. Now I'm painting the wood part of the bed. I wanted the walls, the floor, and the bed to be different shades of blue, and though they don't exactly match what I had in mind, I like how it turned out in the end. And I couldn't decide if I wanted to paint the floor to look like hardwood floor or carpet, but I just painted it a dark color because the whole scene was kind of in the dark anyway, so it would be hard to tell if I did paint it a certain design. And I wanted to make sure that the jeans were not the same blue that I used in any other part of this figurine. Now I'm painting the purple hoodie, and I don't know if you could tell, but my paint is a little thin. It was straight out the bottle. I don't know why it was like this, but for this one I did have to use 2 coats, while for the other pieces I only had to use 1 coat of paint. Now I'm painting her hairline. I want her to have dark hair, so I'm painting her scalp a dark color, so if any of the scalp kind of peeks through, you can't really see it because it will be the same color as the hair. I didn't mention this before, but I did sand her down a little bit after all the epoxy and the clay dried, but not that much because I did want it to look like fabric. Now I'm painting the walls. I decided to just mix a little bit of blue in with black to keep it a very dark color. And for her facial features, after the initial paint dried, I'm painting her the whites of her eyes, and then her irises and pupils, and the teeth white, And her irises and pupils I'm gonna do brown, black. And for her eyebrows, I wanted to match her hair, so I'm gonna do black as well. I'm also gonna fill in some of the lines in her face with black to kind of make them more exaggerated. I feel like it didn't come through as much in the sculpting. And this is what the face ended up looking like. And I also painted her ears, some lines in her ears to give it more depth, and I'm gonna varnish everything with matte varnish. Now I'm gluing her hair. I'm using these Yarn Wefts that I had, and I'll put a link in the description on a video on how to make Yarn Wefts. And I just had these left over, so I decided to use them for the doll's hair. You see I'm going kind of layer by layer, starting from the back. And I'm layering in this lighter brown color to give the hair a little bit of complexity. And before I fill the hair all the way, I'm doing the part, so I'm gonna be gluing it the wrong way, if that makes sense, and then I'm gonna fold it back so then there's not glue peeking out. See, I'm folding it back, and that's how it's gonna be in the end. And then I'll do the same to the other side before I finish gluing the rest of the Yarn Wefts. And to make the Yarn Wefts, I just use school glue, and to glue them on the head, I'm using Fabritac. So I'm gonna need to let it dry for a whole day before I finish styling the hair. Now that the hair is dry, we can start styling. I just started cutting with scissors. You could use eyebrow razors too if you want to be a little bit more precise. Since this character is kind of vampire monster-ish, I kind of wanted to give her hair that looked a little unkept. So I did end up cutting quite a bit off, but I wanted it to stay looking a little bit messy. And I did try to do layers. I wasn't very successful, but maybe next time. Now I should have put the head on before I did the hair and before I sculpted any of the head pieces so they wouldn't break off, but I just used the hairdryer to soften the head and very carefully put it back on the body, but I wouldn't suggest doing that. I would put the head on before sculpting anything or painting anything. And this is what it looks like at the end. I had some blue light to try to mimic what I saw in my dream. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and thank you for watching.